Is it appropriate for a dog to be in the bathroom while a human is peeing? That's a question I never thought I would need an answer for until Dana started, leaving the door open when she pees. Fine, no problem with that. But then Biter has started running into the bathroom when Dana's peeing and jumping up, not fully onto her lap, but Dana will be peeing and Biter will just be on his hind legs with his paws resting on her naked thighs as she pees, and it feels intimate. I'll just say it feels intimate.
Can I say something? Mm-hmm. So when I first had Biter, when he was a little puppy, I couldn't do anything. I couldn't leave the room without him crying. If I left a room, he would cry unless he could follow me. And so early on in his puppyhood, I did develop the habit of carrying him on my lap when I peed, because otherwise he'd be screaming outside the bathroom door. And over time, that kind of, dissipated. He stopped needing to come in when I peed. He stopped being as clingy. And then, yes, recently there's been this regression or resurgence where he's kind of back to his old puppyhood ways of wanting to be with me wherever I go.
Well, set aside the peeing element, but for example, if a parent has their baby sleep in the same bed as them, that's fine. I get it. You know what I mean? But then, obviously, the baby grows up and becomes a toddler. The toddler starts sleeping in their own bed, as it should. Yeah. But then if at around 12, 13, the child returns, I would be like, what's going on here? And that is how I feel about Biter, where, again, because now it's every time. Now it's every time you pee, Biter takes that as invitation to be I'm going to join the human pee party.
Right.
Also, and again, I don't say this because, I feel left out or anything, but, I'll pee in the bathroom. Biter has no interest. Never wants to run into the bathroom while I pee, yet when every time you pee, Biter's it's showtime for him, apparently.
It's showtime. I don't know what to say. I would say what Kourtney Kardashian said when a author of a mom book told her that she shouldn't have her 11-year-old co-sleep in her room, and she said, and then went about her life and continued to co-sleep with her 11-year-old.
Which, by the way, that's what every single mom does when they're told something that goes against what they would prefer. They just go, huh, and then ignore it completely.
They really are so good. Moms are really good at doing this thing where they completely ignore what you're saying and they convince themselves that you didn't notice that they ignored you. They'll curve your comment completely, and then they will trick themselves into believing that you don't even notice that they curved your comment. Yeah. They really do believe bet she didn't even notice that I totally ignored what she was saying. I noticed. But moms be like that. Moms have extremely selective hearing.
They do.
And it's a problem. Okay, I'm not trying to be here's what I've noticed. It seems like there are more women with hearing problems in their old age than men.
I would say that's true.
Just from what I've observed. But maybe that's because women are more attentive to their own
or maybe it's because men don't even think they have hearing problems because they ignore most of the people in their life anyway.
Right.
So a man never hears his wife when she says anything, even when he can quote unquote hear her. So when his hearing fades, he doesn't even notice. He's I'm still shutting that old bird out. So.
But here's what I'll say is a lot of the women in my life who've experienced hearing problems, they had a listening problem first. Obviously not to victim blame.
They had a listening
problem first. Every single woman I know with a hearing problem, they had a listening problem first.
Yeah.
Midnight Milkshake.
Well, also it's great because you'll be talking to an old woman before she has her hearing problems diagnosed, and then she'll ignore you when you say something that goes against her preferences or her beliefs, and then she'll get a hearing aid and you're great. And the next time she hears something she disagrees with, she's still
Yeah.
It's interesting. I don't know what setting that is.
She's really fighting an uphill battle on the hearing aid.
Well, here's what I do think. I've noticed that in my interactions with specifically boomer women, I've noticed that boomer women are so used to not being heard or not being listened to that they're actually shocked when you listen to them, and that they think they can get away with stuff by virtue of the fact of everyone ignores me because everyone ignores women, right? But also now we're in the 21st century, fewer women are ignored, or at least at a lower clip, hopefully. So then it's I'm no, I heard that. I heard that crazy thing you said.
Yeah.
I actually am paying attention to you. I think a lot of boomer women have tried to weaponize no one pays attention to me, so I can do whatever I want.
Well, they move like they're wearing the Harry Potter invisibility cloak.
True.
And also, yeah, like that you can't hear or see them, and it's like, no, we hear and see you.
And yeah, this is the Mother's Day edition of the Midnight Milkshake
Happy
pod.
Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day. It's actually, it will be the Monday after Mother's Day when this episode drops.
Yes.
So yeah, but anyway, going back to Biter. I do think there's this thing with dog ownership where dog ownership has really evolved. Dog ownership really looks different based on where you are. Because, for example, when I was growing up in Missouri, we had outside dogs. Which, by the way, whenever I tell someone from California we had outside dogs, they think I'm like doing something wrong or illegal.
But here's what I'll counter to that. I don't think it's location specific. I think it's generation specific. I think it's decade specific. So I saw a TikTok recently about how, like, in the 90s, dog culture was just different. Like, dogs did sleep outside. Like, that wasn't seen as being like abusive or anything. That's why we have the thing called the dog house. Like, because people would let their dog sleep outside, and if their dog was really spoiled, they'd build their dog a little hut.
Well, nowadays, like, being sent to the dog house would mean nothing because everyone just sleeps with their dog.
Right. But like that's a 2010s like invention, is sleeping with your dog. Dogs sleeping in your bed used to be seen as like very taboo and very weird, and it was a sign that you didn't train your dog well enough not to sleep in your bed.
Yeah.
Like, and now it's like, I mean, when you go to adopt a dog, like I remember when I was filling out surveys for like adopting a dog, one of the things they ask you is where will the dog sleep, and the options are like in a bed outside my room, in a bed in my room, or with me. Why do they need to know so specifically where the dog is sleeping? But they're more likely to give you the dog if you say that you're going to let the dog sleep in your bed.
Yeah.
Which again, I'm just like, that's so 2010s. Like that's not, in the 90s, that would be unheard of. The most spoiled dogs will sleep outside in a dog house.
I'm filling it out. I'm like, okay, is there an other option? Because I plan to have the dog sleep in a trash bag full of rusty nails. And then they're like, what the fuck? And I'm like, dog culture is so different.
Dog culture's changed.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think that people just have become way more codependent with their dogs in like the last 20 years.
I think that a dog sleeping inside of a studio apartment is more abusive than a dog sleeping outside on a lawn. I do believe that.
100% when you actually think about like what would a dog like, you'd be like, oh, well, presumably they'd want like more freedom or fresh air, like space to run around.
Yeah.
They are at their core like animals.
Well, at their core and also outside of their core, they are animals.
They're technically animals, and also literally they are animals.
Yeah. Do you think Biter knows we're talking about him?
No.
No clue. He doesn't give a shit.
No, he doesn't care. And
he's uninterested.
Also, again, I always say, for all we know, we're just projections of his imagination, and this is his world, and we're just living in it. Blah, blah, blah. But yeah, no, I think it's so interesting the way that dog ownership has evolved in that way, where like now it's seen as like really normal to just be so codependent with your dog. I mean, in LA, people bring their dogs everywhere.
Yes.
Like, you can't go to a cafe and not see, like, I would say the ratio of people with dogs, people without dogs is like 2 to 1 in LA. Like more people have their dogs with them outside than people without dogs.
Yeah.
Every outdoor cafe, every single person at a table has a dog with them. Is that crazy to say?
And you know what? I think that's crazy, period. I don't think you should be allowed to bring dogs anywhere where it's expected that you'll have to like sit down. That's my belief.
I know.
Because also, even outdoor, it's like, what do we mean when it's like, okay, we're on the outdoor patio? You're saying if my dog took a fat shit on this patio, we'd all be cool?
Well, that's something I was always amazed by, is like, clearly these dogs are pretty well trained, because like I've never seen any dogs like shit on a Los Feliz patio.
Well, one time my old boss had a dog. It was a German Shepherd. Very well behaved German Shepherd, I will say. But like one time, like he took the office like out to lunch at like an outdoor cafe. And then he had his German Shepherd on a leash, and he tied the leash around like the middle part of like the table underneath. And then another party was eating at the outdoor cafe, and they did a similar thing with their dog. And then at one point mid-meal, both dogs like leapt at each other barking, and they both like yanked each table like a yard toward each other. And then afterwards, like, you know, everyone's like, oh, okay, sorry. All right. Oh, okay, sorry. Settle. And everyone settled. But I'll say it, the vibe was off. Once two dogs have started screaming and they lurch. Because by the way, that's what a bark is, a scream.
Yeah.
They
A bark is a scream.
Yes.
That's so real. People don't want to talk about that, but when your dog barks in public, that's as if an adult screamed.
Well, and I hate it because whenever like a person is walking their dog and their dog starts barking insanely, they look at you just like, hey, it is what it is. It's like, it shouldn't be this.
No.
Because what's happening, it's as if you were just like walking with a guy and that guy started screaming at me.
Yeah.
And you want to be like, that's Frank.
Yeah.
This is just how Frank is.
Frank be wildin'. No.
Hey, Frank be wildin'.
Yeah, if Frank just started going, ha, 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 at like any passerby, you wouldn't be friends with Frank anymore.
You would not be. But your dog, you're just like, yeah. But also the difference is like with your dog, I do think it's your fault. I think that if your dog is a bark all the time dog, that's low-key your fault.
Well, I always say like if your dog is a bark all the time dog, well, okay, I say this. When I see a person with a really unruly dog, I either think you need to tell me right now that you just adopted him from the shelter, or you need to accept that like I'm gonna think that you're a terrible dog owner.
Yeah.
So either like be really direct. Hey, I just got him from the shelter. He's just like this right now. I'm working on it. Like I want to know you're working on it.
Yes.
That's also it. I think there's like this complacency with dog owners of unruly dogs where I'm like, what do you mean? That's just how he is.
Well, not every dog's behavior needs to be like a finished project,
Right.
but I need to know that you need to finish this project.
There's work to be done here. I want to know that you know there's work to be done here.
If every time your dog sees another dog or another person, they pull the leash taut and start barking,
Yeah.
I need you to know that can't be the long-term goal here.
Like that's not sustainable.
Yeah.
Like that can't be the end.
But for some people, they're just like, yeah, my dog barks all the time. Also, I'm like, that is like a product of its environment, I will say.
I think that's kind of true.
And we had by the way, we had dogs. Our dogs were outdoor dogs. They would bark all the time, and it was a product of its environment.
Yeah.
It was we were a stressed out crew.
Yeah.
We were on edge.
You were high stress.
And the dogs would pick up on that.
And here's what I'll say. We're chill. Pups chill.
Dude, my dogs would also try to escape all the time.
Yeah.
My dogs also, because we had like a fenced in backyard, they would like try to like jump the fence. And a couple times they would succeed. I remember one time.
How high is the fence?
It's like a normal fence height, but we had like, they were like yellow lab size and one was like a mix, but like it was like a few feet.
Why do you think they were so desperate to get away?
I don't know. We weren't abusing them. I don't know why I said it like a joke.
That's what you say. Yeah.
Like,
that was really
weren't.
the tone of someone who's telling the truth.
I was like, we weren't abusing. No.
We weren't abusing
But to
them.
be fair, the dog that would try to escape all the time was a dog that we legit rescued from the woods.
So maybe he was just trying to go back to the woods.
But like it was like the woods. Like literally, I think the dog might have been part wolf. No joke.
Damn, that's crazy.
It was very dire wolf coded. But also, I'll see people like in LA walking their dogs, and they'll be walking like a Siberian Husky, and I'm like, you live in like a 3rd floor, 1-bedroom unit.
Yeah.
Your Siberian Husky isn't supposed to be there.
Yeah.
That's inherently a selfish decision.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you, but not my Husky.
Not my Husky, because you got a biter-sized dog.
I got a biter-sized dog.
Because we have a biter-sized environment.
Well, again, I think it's normal. When you're apartment hunting, you always see this, but like a lot of apartments will be like, no dogs over like 15 to 20 pounds.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's a totally normal request.
Yeah.
Like to not want like a massive dog in an apartment.
Because saying like, oh, I like dogs, it's like, well, saying I like dogs that are 15 pounds is not the same thing as me being like, bring your 200-pound monster here.
Well, that is the difference between being like, I like wolves and I like dogs.
It's a different species.
It's a different species.
Also, they're literally different species.
I like bears. We saw a dog that was like a bear the other day.
We saw
in
a
a Starbucks.
giant dog that was like a bear.
Yeah, and he was a bear.
He was
huge.
fully
a bear.
That was a different, like he's fuzzy, but that's a bear.
Like that dog is not related to Biter.
Yeah.
Oh, but yeah, I was going to say, in regard to like millennial dog culture and millennials just being like so overfamiliar with their dogs, my friend Julia, she gets to bring her dog to work and everyone in her office works with their dogs. Like that's like so, and their dogs get their own like work badges. Like there's a huge like dog work culture. Which again, I'm like, love that for you. But like, it's just so crazy because I'm like, no, I know in the 90s, you didn't get a badge for your dog.
No.
In the office.
Also,
like that was unprecedented.
Because your dog's not really an employee. Like your dog genuinely isn't an employee.
But that's like the millennial vibe is that like doggo has jobbo.
Well, I like to think the boss calls you and they're like, hey, we need Doggo to come in on Saturday. Not you. You enjoy your time up, but we need Doggo.
Doggo got to be here.
Doggo's got.
Yeah.
Also, it's like what? Like again, like if Doggo like smells another dog's ass at work, it's like that's an HR complaint. That's a problem.
So true. What are they? How does HR deal with the dog on dog sexual harassment?
I will say, I think there's like something. It's related that a lot of younger people these days like aren't fucking, aren't hooking up, aren't getting married, aren't having kids, but they are all getting increasingly intimate with their dogs. Like everyone is like closer to their dogs than any generation has ever been. Their dog comes everywhere with them. It comes to work with them. It sleeps in the same bed as them. And these are the same people who like, you know, like are not going out, not partying, not having relationships. It's like it's an outlet.
I definitely think like dogs serve as an intimacy buffer for like the lack of intimacy that a lot of like Gen Zs and millennials are experiencing. And I even think this where, okay, like when I was in my 20s and I was kind of like dating, I would notice like certain guys would have like dogs that were like really well trained. And immediately that was like a huge red flag. So I was like, oh, they're gonna try to like train me.
Yeah. Well, they're practicing.
Like they're practicing. Like a guy with a dog that's really well trained, I'm like, that's a controlling motherfucker. Yeah. Like that's like immediate red flag to me.
A guy who's like a dog answers like every command the guy gives him. That's the same thing when their wife is like, I'm gonna go shopping. He's like, yeah. She's like, I'm gonna go do the dishes actually.
Right, you're right. Yeah, like he's Pavloving you. Yeah. But yeah, I think that like definitely millennials and the relationships with their dogs should be studied because I think it is generally speaks to kind of like underlying intimacy issues that they might have with other people.
Yeah. Well, it is just like, let me think about this because I want to draw a parallel where it's like boomer men had guns and Gen Z people have dogs. Yeah. Where it's like, it's just like this externalization of like all like boomer men were insecure about keeping their family safe and being able to protect themselves. Yeah. So they bought guns, and like Gen Z people are insecure about being alone forever. So they're buying a Saint Bernard and making it live with them in their one bedroom apartment.
Yeah. I also wonder if there's like a level of, again, trying to domesticate a dog that's like not quite domesticatable.
I think there's an element, you know what I think a lot of it is? I think it's like a lot of people proving to themselves that they've made the right choices by being like, look, if I like, this is clearly a great environment for me because why else would I have a giant dog here?
Right.
So you're like, their parents are like, you shouldn't have majored in long form improv in college. There's no future in that. Oh yeah, there's no. If this is not a good path, then how come I'm walking it with 14 dogs?
Right. Yeah. I do think that's also real. Where like. Again, like we talk about with people in LA, like people in LA, their life will be so out of control and they'll adopt another dog. And then their solution is, I need to rescue another animal. It's like, girl, you need to rescue yourself. Yeah.
Every time people's life is spiraling out of control, they adopt a new dog that's an even more dangerous breed.
Yes.
Every single time.
Yeah.
They start with a Chihuahua, then they they don't get promoted into being a TV writer, and they go, we're going pit bull.
Yeah. And then they get a pit bull.
And they get a pit bull.
Yeah.
And that distracts them from the fact that they're not one of the most famous people in the world.
It is really interesting because in LA, it's definitely like you either are someone with a tiny dog or you have a pit bull. Yeah. And there's just like really no in between.
Well, in LA, it's like you either turn to extreme dog ownership, which is what I would call it. The smaller the apartment, the more dangerous the dog breed. It's like that's kind of what like the Los Angeles culture is. Or I think you turn to incredibly niche religion. LA is a city where it's like you either adopt 4 pit bulls or you become a Scientologist.
Yes.
That's always like, it's like because again, you're trying to apply structure to yourself where it's like, yeah.
Well, and I think that's like kind of a natural thing in this kind of, when you have an amorphous dream, a big dream that's really reliant on a lot of like luck and abstract factors that you can't always control and see. It's like you're clinging to any form of control that you can.
Well, and again, I also think this is why like previous generations, like this was one thing about the military was it just gave everyone structure. It gave everyone so much structure they didn't want any more structure ever again. And now we're almost seeing like the absence of any sort of structure where it's like people trying to find it wherever they can get it.
Well, it is the pendulum. I mean, again, it's what I said about you. Like, okay, one of the main reasons you've, dare I say, like, changed my life for the better, like one of the main things I attribute to you, is you're one of the few people I've met who you are extremely disciplined, but not in a way that is crazy. Yeah. And it's very rare that you meet someone who can do discipline in moderation. And I think that people don't understand this either. So I think like what I realized is my life, so my dad was in the Navy. Mm-hmm. And I think you could really tell that he was someone who had been in the Navy because he like woke up really early and like there was no, someone described it on TikTok sorry. Someone described it on TikTok. Okay, they did. They described it on TikTok. That's how I experience the world. Okay.
Okay.
But she described it on TikTok as like, who was allowed to just like stay in bed? She was like, in my house, the second that it was 7:30, all the lights were on, and like my mom was ripping the covers off me. Like there was no staying in bed, and that's very much the way I was raised. Where like my dad was up every morning at 6, he'd go for a bike ride. Like I felt like it was very like regimented, and the only way that I ever experienced or witnessed a discipline was through my dad, who I would say was very extreme.
I was never allowed to have any rest when I was growing up.
Yes.
As a kid, for some reason, my parents thought like taking a break was a sign of like laziness or mental weakness. I would be woken up early every Saturday, every Sunday. On breaks, they would always have activity schedule.
Yeah.
It annoyed me so much.
Yeah.
Always activities. And then on the summers, it was literally, my parents made me do summer school. They literally made me do summer school into soccer camps. Didn't even like soccer, but like, and again, I'm not complaining about any of these things in isolation. It's the fact that all of these things back to back, and I didn't even get a break.
No, but I just saw someone say that boomers have rest radar. Like
Yes.
they know when you are relaxed, and that is when they strike. I just saw someone talk about this, where she was basically like, what is it where like the second that it's like the weekend, or the second that you finally achieved some sort of mental peace or relaxation, a boomer in your life comes around with, how's the job hunt? How's the job hunt? It's like, well, how do you know? How do you know that I just chilled out? How do you know that I just decided like, okay, I'm going to forget my cares for like 1 second and like just relax. And then a boomer comes around the corner. So do you have a boyfriend? Do you have a job?
Well, when I was a kid, I remember this. It was like clockwork. I would like come home like after sports practice, after school, and I would like do whatever homework I had to do. And it would be as soon as I finished, my parents would yell, come down, and they wouldn't, I swear to God, this would tick me off. I'm down to do anything. I am down to do any chore, anything that needs to be done. They would make stuff up just to have me do it. Because also they had this mindset where it's like, if I can't see you doing work, I'm assuming you're doing zero.
Right.
Like they literally assume that if they're not making you do chores, you're in a catatonic state.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, I've got my, I'm doing stuff.
Yeah,
I'm out here.
I'm out here.
I'm like, whatever.
Yeah. No, I think it's so funny. I'm like, again, I don't think that there is something that goes off in boomers' heads where when they can feel younger people at rest, they go, how can I disturb their peace? Yeah. And I think maybe it's because none of them know how to be at peace. Yeah. Like none of them like think, my mom doesn't think like being at peace is real. No. Like she thinks if like you're sitting and like just thinking or whatever, that you must be, I don't know, like on drugs. That's also like so annoying. It's like I would be sitting and like kind of like daydreaming or zoning out. I'm a creative, okay? Like I live in my imagination, and that's not a fucking crime. I'm allowed to like have a daydream or two. It's not a big deal.
Well, my aunt literally was like, so how much do you actually work during the day? And I know like you think you thinking is working. And I'm like, how about I change my name and leave the country? Yeah. If this is how I'm going to be spoken to, how about I change my name and leave the country?
Again, I do think that sometimes boomers have a way. Okay. I've accepted this. I accepted this a long time ago. No one will ever respect me. No one that that's just true. Like, I don't think I'll ever get the respect that I think I deserve. Like I just know like my peers don't respect me. My parents don't respect me. My family will never respect me. And like, I just have made peace with that because I'm like, okay, like I want to live my life. And if you don't respect me, what the fuck ever. But like, I do think there's this level of, wait, where was I going with this? God damn it.
Well, it's like, you don't have to like respect, like, okay, like, I don't know. You don't have to respect what I'm doing in order to acknowledge that I'm doing something.
That I'm doing something.
That's kind of always been my thing.
Just because you don't respect it, that doesn't mean I'm not doing it. And like, what do I have to do to just like be left alone? Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, I get it. Like, like that's also always been my thing. Like, whenever anyone's like, well, I'm going to try to make my parents proud, they'll never be proud.
They will never be proud. They'll never be proud. Parents will never be proud of you. Also, Robert and I, we're both creatives or whatever. And you think like, oh, in order to make your parents like proud in a creative field, what you have to do is like be financially successful on the same level as like someone in a non-creative field. And you think that, right?
Well, you just have to be able to like support yourself and what a win.
But then you do that and then you realize like, oh no, they will never support me at all ever. No. And again, if I had gone into a non-creative field, they would have been like, you gave up on your dreams.
Yeah.
Like, there's really no winning. Like, you'll never make your parents proud. You'll never get the respect you think you're owed. So,
well, no external forces will ever validate you.
no,
ever. And again,
You
like,
have your validation has to come from within.
and to be clear, it's like my thing is always just like, dude, you literally can think I'm the dumbest moron on planet
Yeah.
Earth, and they do,
and you do.
I'm like, look, I don't care if my parents
Yeah.
respect me. They don't.
They don't.
But
I don't care that they don't, but they don't. To
Yeah.
be so clear, they don't.
they literally don't. But then I'm like, okay. But then I'm like, just be like in my head, like, hey, well, you're doing your thing. I'm doing my thing.
Yeah.
No, the older generation specifically will be like, I'm doing my thing. You must think my thing is the most important thing in the world. Also, I refuse to acknowledge you're doing anything
at all.
And if you are doing anything, it's insignificant compared to my thing.
And there is no winning.
Well, it is like, okay, it is like this also thing that I've noticed. And I think it actually, the factor is like, older generations, this idea of like even like following your dreams or even like following your wants at all, like what you want to do even being like a relevant factor in your career is kind of new, low-key. Like that kind of came about, like I would say in like the last 20 years, because I would say previous generations, you're supposed to hate your job. You're supposed to hate what you did every day. That's just the way of the world. And by the way, many people still hate their jobs. I'm not trying to be like whatever. But so I think there's this thing where a lot of older people who worked their whole life in jobs they never liked are, now that they're kind of done working those jobs, they're retired, they're almost like retroactively trying to extract meaning from that, you know?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times what they're left with is what made the job have meaning was that I didn't like it.
Yeah, well, they find meaning in suffering.
Which, to be clear, is a societal problem. It's like we
Yes.
literally condition people to do stuff they hate every day.
Right.
And then the only deeper meaning they can get from that is, well, I guess it had to mean something that I hated it, because otherwise, why did I do it?
Well, also, it makes sense that they have this connection point of, if I'm not suffering, I'm not doing enough.
Yeah.
Because what they were taught, like, oh, if I'm making enough money to pay my bills, what that directly correlates to my day-to-day feeling is suffering.
And then if they see you not suffering,
They
they're
literally
assuming
go,
you're doing nothing.
yeah. They assume you're not doing anything.
Yeah.
And they don't understand that actually, dare I say, there's a way to profit more greatly from your joy than there is your suffering.
In some cases, yeah.
In some
But also,
cases.
again, I'm like, you don't have to think that, also, I'm not suffering. You
No,
don't,
but that's what we're saying.
That's
We're
what
not
we're saying.
suffering. That's why they don't view what we do as valid.
Yeah.
Because we find joy in our day-to-day. Our day-to-day must be unproductive and whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. We must be degenerates.
We must be
because
degenerates.
We're having a good time.
We have a good
Smile
time.
on my face. Now that's a degenerate.
Well, but I also think it's the thing too, was like, we'll do stuff, like, again, whenever we do stuff, it's like, we'll just have a nice attitude
Yeah.
about it. And that's also seen as like, if you have a good attitude, it can't have been.
Well, I also think we talk about this all the time, but like boomer women love to perform worry. They think
Yeah.
that performing worry makes their whatever they're doing more valid. If I'm really stressed out about the thing I'm doing has more meaning, is more valid, is more important.
Yes.
And it is just that, like, I just simply don't agree with that principle. I don't agree that because you're performing stress, what you're doing is more important than what I'm doing just because I'm choosing not to perform stress.
Well, again, also, I would say this, like, I worked like multiple kind of office cubicle jobs, and the
Mm-hmm.
one I hated that I was not good at, I was stressed about all the time. And the one that was fine and that I was pretty good at, got promoted at, I did not care at all. And actually, it's like, yeah, I'm like, I was bad at the one I was stressed at. I was good at the one I was like, hey, whatever, take it or leave it. So it is like, who knows, man?
Well, I just don't think ever performing stress or worry is a good use of energy.
But I also think that was the thing too about, I think that my parents, when I was a kid, they were like, if you're not stressed, you're being unproductive. Like I remember
Yeah.
I had a snow day and they got stressed about how they were going to fill my snow day.
Right.
I was like, I'm going to play in the snow. And they're like, oh, well, he's just going to be playing in the snow all day if we don't step in.
if we don't make sure he has something to do, if we don't make sure there's work to do in the snow.
My mom made me spend a snow day. I was, by the way, invited to go build a snowman with my friends. And she said, no, you're going to drive me to my appointments. That's what she had me do. And then when I complained about it, she had me move firewood in the snow. Because when I was from Missouri, we had like a pile of firewood. We had like 3 piles of firewood on our property. And she would say, and that was always whatever I had to do was like move wood from that pile to that pile to that pile. So on the snow day, I wanted to go build a snowman with my friends. My mom said, no, you drive me to my appointments. I complained about it so much. She had me move wood in the snow. And that was my snow day.
So punitive.
Well, I do think inherently that's the only, again, this idea of not being punitive is like so new.
here's my thing in general. And this is kind of how I live my life. I don't believe it is my job to punish anyone or teach anyone a lesson. And boomers live their lives very antithetical to that. Like when people like fuck me up, like when people do shit wrong to me, and I'm being so serious, I literally go, I don't know, man. Like I literally like step back. I go, I don't know, man. But like boomers, they don't have that mechanism. I mean, even Donald Trump talks about how in his book, he has this whole chapter about how you have to get even.
Yeah.
Like, right? And I'm like, that is just like so not my mentality. And he is very much of the mentality. Like he's like, no, if someone fucks you over, you need to get them back. You need to get them back. And I'm like, I'm not gonna. But boomers, I think they all have the mentality. I think all boomers are like, I'm gonna get my comeuppance. I'm gonna deliver my own justice. And I'm like, okay, they think it's their job to teach everyone a fucking lesson. They really do. They're like, oh, you fucked me over. I'm gonna teach you a lesson. I'm like, I'm not here to teach anyone a fucking lesson.
I'm not here
to teach anyone a lesson.
If you fuck me over, yeah, you think you got away with something? You did.
You got away with it.
You got away with it.
I'm not gonna be the one to. I'm not gonna do anything. I'm not punitive.
Yeah.
I just don't have a punitive bone in my body.
Well, okay. It's like, okay, I remember one time I was really getting annoyed with someone because like I was making small talk with them, and it's clear they didn't care to make small talk with me. And again, this is like kind of a semi-professional setting, and I'm just kind of trying to be nice to this person. It's clear they don't give a shit about me, whatever. And I'm trying to make small talk, and then they kind of like did the thing where they sandbagged me, and it's like, okay, all right. And I was like, whatever. But I'm like, okay, so what's getting even there? I'm mad at this person. What's getting even? I make small talk with, I become their true friend. I get them to value me sincerely. I get them to want to make real conversation with me. And then you sandbag them. And then I sandbag them.
No, you know what it would be with that kind of interaction is you'd find someone that they wanted to suck up to or network with, and you'd smear them to that person so that person wanted to sandbag them.
Okay, true.
That's actually how you do it.
So I'm thinking that what I would do is I would get facial prosthetics. I would doubtfire them. I would become that person.
Yes, you'd become.
They'd be like, I don't want to talk to Robert Schultz, but I do want to talk to, Reginald Poofta with the giant beard and glasses.
As Reginald, you'd sandbag the fuck out of them.
And then they'd finally get to meet Reginald Poofta with the giant beard and glasses. Yeah. They'd be like, oh, Reg, have you been on vacation lately? Like, did you? I bet it was somewhere cold because you always wear your giant robe, because in disguise I'd have to wear my giant robe.
Of course.
And then as Reg, I'd just be like, not really. And they would feel what I felt.
And they would finally learn.
Yeah. And then I would take off my wig and I'd be like, I tricked you.
Right.
But then at that point it escalated. So then they would have to get even with me.
Right.
And then they would kind of heighten each other.
Right.
I guess
Here's my thing, but that's in general. I think this speaks to something broader in LA, where so many conversations suck, not because they have to suck, but because the person that you're talking to doesn't view you as someone worth networking with.
Yes.
And I literally just want to just make this proclamation right now where I'm like, hey, can we all agree, like, even if you don't think that you have something to gain from someone, maybe just have like, just try in conversation. Use it as an opportunity to practice your conversational skills.
Well,
so that when you are trying to suck up to someone, you're actually good at talking to them. Because what I've noticed is like people will sandbag me in conversation, and I'm like, here's the thing, is like, you could have used this as practice. Like, you could have used this as practice for someone you genuinely want to talk to. Instead, you sandbag me, and now like we're both just left with like a shitty feeling.
Well, this is my biggest pet peeve. It's whenever I'll be trying to make small talk with someone and they just kind of sandbag me, and they don't put as much effort into the small talk as I'm putting into it, because it creates this weird dynamic where it's like, well, now you're almost making it seem like I'm desperate to talk to you. And I'm like, guess what? As much as you don't care about me, I don't care about you. I'm like again, I remember this one specific case where they had just gotten back from a trip to Chicago, and I was like, oh, so how was your trip to Chicago? Totally ignored me. And again, here's the thing. I don't care about your trip to Chicago.
No.
But I'm asking because in this moment, I'd like to not be awkward.
Right.
But by you kind of sandbagging me, well, now it's creating this dynamic where I'm just obsessed with your trip to Chicago.
Exactly. Oh, that's Robert. He needed to know how my Chicago trip was. I don't care either.
Well, like, as much as you don't care about me, I don't care about you, but like, I'm trying here.
Yeah.
I'm just trying.
Also, here's my thing too. I'm like, how do you know that I'm not going to be good to network with if you won't even like do basic minimum small talk?
Or also, forgetting network, maybe I'll impress you. Maybe a small talk. Like, okay, let's let's try this.
Okay, let's
Maybe
try.
for all
Yeah.
that person knows when they had told me about their trip to Chicago, I would have had something really funny to say
Maybe,
back.
yeah.
So let's try that now.
Okay,
So Dana,
okay.
let's pretend. You respond as a polite person should when I go,
Okay.
hey, how was your trip to Chicago?
Oh, it's fun.
A lot of murders there. There's a lot of murders in Chicago. I heard. I
knew you weren't going to be good to network with. I knew I shouldn't have been
Fine.
nice.
I guess
I knew I shouldn't have been polite.
I guess I'll go give my Hollywood blank check to someone else. That's the thing.
Scene.
And scene.
How do you know I don't have a Hollywood blank check in my pocket?
I always pretend.
Ready to give to you if you're a little bit nice to me.
Whenever I walk into a party in Los
Yeah.
Angeles or New York, I before I speak to anyone individually, I stand in the middle of the party and I wave a piece of paper. I go, before you all interact with me, I would just like to inform you that I have a Hollywood blank check.
I have a Hollywood
that
blank check.
I will be giving to a worthy person who socializes with me the best. And then that way it won't be awkward.
Yeah.
Because I've made an announcement.
That way everyone will know that that's the guy with the Hollywood blank check,
Yeah.
and they will behave appropriately.
I'll be like, how was your trip to Chicago? They'll be like, it was amazing. How was Dev? You been on a trip recently?
Yeah.
And I'll say, not bad. Not bad.
But also, let me talk about the funniest thing about like LA and like networking, shallow small talk, blah, 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 is like people get fired all the time. So you can like watch in real time going to a party. One guy has a really cool job. That party, everyone's sucking this guy's freaking ass, right? Then next year, that guy's been fired and demoted to a slightly less better job. Less people are sucking his ass. Next year, he has an even worse job. Nobody's sucking his ass.
Yeah.
Is that even a phrase?
It is now. Tell you what, if it is, it shouldn't be.
No.
Because I stopped
nobody's sucking
hearing what
his
you
ass.
were saying and
But,
I just heard sucking
that's
his ass.
also why I'm like, dude, you have to understand like the karmic law of sandbagging small talk, where it's like the sandbagged will become the sandbagger, or the sandbagger will become the sandbagged.
Well, also, whenever anyone is obsessed with networking, I'm like, there's just no way to network effectively in the long run because you don't know how people's lives will actually shake out.
No.
Like, someone who's not successful today could be successful tomorrow, and vice versa.
And vice
like,
versa.
We'll be at parties and people are like, you've got to suck his ass. He's a mid-level coordinator. So
Right.
pretty soon he'll be an upper-level coordinator. It's
Right.
like, or pretty soon he'll be a lower-level coordinator. Maybe he'll get demoted.
Or pretty soon, yeah, he'll move back to Iowa and have to become a baker.
And then you just suck the
I don't know why
baker's
I said
ass.
have to become a baker, because baking is awesome.
Well, by the way, here's what I'll say. Every single person I know
Yeah.
who's just like back in just seems to be having a great time. Also,
Yeah.
pursue your joy, pursue your things. Nothing is linear. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But it's just like, why are we, if you live your life based on like, I only am as nice as people fall in an arbitrary hierarchy. It's like the hierarchy's fake. Nothing's real.
Yeah, nothing is real.
Try to be nice to everyone.
Well, again, I really do think, I'm like, dude, these tables, they be turning. The tables, they be turning. And if you're acting like, oh, I'm only going to play the game with the information I know about how the table looks right now, you're going to be behind so quickly.
By the way, if it's not clear, a couple days ago, I had kind of an awkward social interaction with someone. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I had
And we're really trying to unpack this.
I had a kind of awkward bit of small talk with someone, and just days later, I'm like, the table's turned.
Yeah. What you don't understand is that the tables turn. And you're sandbagging me right now, but you're going to be kissing Reginald Poofda's ass real soon.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Here's what I will say, though. We talk a lot about how, like, oh man, everyone in Los Angeles and in the industry, it's like there's so many games being played. I just want to go back to like, a simple down to earth place where there's no games. And then every time I go back home to Missouri, I experience like more layered insults than I've ever experienced in my entire life. And I'm like, you know what? You just can't win.
no.
Where there is no utopia, where no one plays a single game and everything is upfront and
Here's
kind.
my thing. At least LA is better for me because I know what the game is here. I've
Yeah.
lived here long enough where at least I know what the game is. Like when people are fake, I know they're being fake. Like when people give me certain kinds of backhanded insults, I know what the implication is.
Whereas in Missouri, when like people give me backhanded insults and like play games with me, I'm like, what is this game?
Well, I literally am like, I don't even know what you're. Okay, that's also it. In LA, everyone has a really. They all have the same objective,
Which is to become the most
riches and
famous-
fame.
yeah, to become the most famous rich person on the planet.
That's it. It's riches and fame. Okay, that's actually really easy to navigate if I know that we're all operating from a place of that person wants his riches and fame, that person wants riches and fame, that person wants like some kind of like niche clout. But I get it.
That person is a pervert. They're trying to do weird pervert
that
sex stuff.
person is trying
All
to
right.
assault me. Just kidding. But you know, like
Yeah.
I'm too old for them to want to. I'm okay. Anyway, but we all know people's objectives. They're kind of on the surface.
Yeah.
But again, when you go anywhere else that's like not LA, you're like, what are these people's objectives? I have no idea. This person owns a bakery. Why are they giving me a backhanded compliment? Why are they negging me?
Yeah.
Well, how does that help them sell cupcakes? Like, I'm genuinely like, I don't understand. So that's why I have to be here.
You have to
so
be
as
here.
much as I complain, it's like, well, at least I understand the rules of this game. And at least I understand like why Dana Donnelly, my skill set doesn't necessarily seem advantageous in the game. I'm just not snivelly like that.
You're not really snivelly.
No. Well, I just don't know how to be snivelly.
Well, people think you're playing a game by virtue of the fact that like they think you're dumb as hell.
Yeah.
So whenever you give any indication that actually you're not dumb as hell, they think that's you playing a trick.
Right.
They're like, you tricked me. You made me think you were dumb as hell. It's like, I would have preferred you never thought I was dumb as hell.
Also, they're like, you were playing dumb this whole time. I wasn't playing anything. You just thought I was dumb.
Yeah. You just thought I was dumb.
I think that's so funny when people accuse you of playing dumb and you're like, I wasn't playing anything. You decided that you thought I was dumb.
You thought I was dumb.
So that's you.
That would be you.
So we went to a new sandwich place that I saw on TikTok.
Yeah. And so Dana and I, we took a day the other day. We went to a new sandwich place, which counts as work.
Yeah,
we
for
thought,
us it's work.
But no, we
thought while we were there.
We went to like this very trendy new sandwich place, which is always like a very big toss up. And I gotta be honest, I don't like how cocky like new like food is. New food is very arrogant. We went to the sandwich place and it literally makes you like, it's like that place you have to like look on TikTok and like find a map and all this stuff. And it's like, we walk in, it's like a general store. It's not like it's not like it's like a deli, but it's not. We walk into this general store. Although it's a little too tiny, we're just right there with the guy. And then right next to the cash register is a plate with like a pile of already made sandwiches, which for me is kind of like, I don't know. I kind of like the whole thing where you make the sandwich after I order it, but maybe I'm old school.
Robert likes a made to order.
It's a sandwich.
It's a sandwich.
And then we go, oh, hey, we're here to try the sandwiches. And he goes, we have BLT today. And I'm kind of like, don't I have a say in that?
So, yeah. And I didn't realize that this was the kind of sandwich place where they just have like one sandwich that you can get.
Yeah.
And they change what that is out. That being said, the sandwich was really yummy. But
it was a yummy sandwich.
I will say the general store was small, and I know the general store was small because you and this man both looked like the biggest people I'd ever seen.
Yes.
And I don't think either of you are of exceptional height or stature. Like this guy was not huge, but looking at him, I was like, this is the most massive man I've ever seen.
Yeah.
The only person who looked in place at the store was me because I'm 4'11".
You fit
it was like literally like a little hut.
Well, it's like when they built like Hobbit sets to scale to make the actors look bigger. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it very much felt like that. Again, also there just was, it is the thing like the sandwich wound up being good, but there's that element of like, it's like I was rooting for it to be bad because I'm like, who are you to tell me that I'm just getting a BLT? Also, I've always said this about the BLT, the ratio of B to T is off.
Well, when you really think about what a BLT is, I'm like, that's an insane sandwich. What do you mean there's only bacon, lettuce, and tomato?
Also, bacon is a supplementary meat.
Really odd.
Bacon is a supplementary meat. It is not a main meat.
I used to think BLT stood for bacon, lettuce, turkey. And that makes more sense to me.
Yeah.
But it doesn't. It stands for tomato. And then, of course, this was the sandwich place we went to. It was in Malibu. And, of course, one, the sandwich that we didn't get to pick was $18. But two, I saw a cookie. And I was like, I want the cookie. And then Robert goes, no, you don't want it. It's gluten-free. And the guy behind the counter goes, you can't even tell it's gluten-free. I could tell it was gluten-free. I did get it. But, yeah, I could tell it was gluten-free. And you realize gluten does something, and that something isn't like bonds the flour together.
It's a texture thing.
It's a texture thing. Like you can tell, I'm like, no, gluten has a very specific, I can tell, chemical purpose.
Yeah.
And that chemical makes the baked good taste a shit ton better.
Yeah.
And it's like anything that's gluten free, and I'm sorry to say this, it's fucking grainy as shit, man.
Well, also, I'm not even trying to be rude here. I was talking to my wife, and I said, oh, you won't like this cookie. It's gluten free.
Yeah.
The guy behind the counter chimes in, you'll like it. It's like, you don't know what she'll like.
He cucked Robert.
He
cucked Robert.
He gluten cucked me.
He cuckied Robert.
He cuckied me.
Because it was about the cookie.
It's about the cookie.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you a moment to applaud at home when you hear that. But again, I'm like, you don't know. Like, also, like, I know if it's gluten-free, Dana will taste the difference and not like it as much. And I'm like, look, dude, also it's this thing, like, you're trying to move cookies. We just paid you $40 for 2 sandwiches.
Yeah.
You're
and the
coming
cookie
out
also
on
was
top.
$4.50. again, I'm like, everything is so far be it for me to like complain about prices, but like, again, I was thinking about this because we went to a Mexican restaurant. They're charging for chips and salsa now at the Mexican restaurant. I'm pretty sure they were free at some point. When we started going to them, when we started going to this Mexican restaurant, chips and salsa were complimentary. Now they're $4.50 for chips and salsa service.
They're also charging for bread now. A lot of restaurants.
They're also charging for bread now at a lot of restaurants. And I am like, I joke, but what's next? Charging for hello and how are you?
Charging for please and
Charging
thank you.
for please and thank you. Like, I do feel like we are just getting nickel and dimed. And I understand, we're a country at war. And there is undeniably some sort of like recession, inflation, like everything.
And by the way, this is what we said. We said, hey, the chips and salsa used to be complimentary. And they said, we're at war. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know.
They said we're at war.
But it is a thing now. It's like, oh, you walk into a restaurant, they spit in your face, and you're like, what the fuck was that? And they're like, oh, I'm sorry, it's extra charge for me to not spit in your face. That's just how we do things. Just where the economy's at.
Yeah.
Also, man, here's what I will say, not to totally live out, but gas prices are high.
Yeah,
gas prices are high.
Gas prices are high. And hantavirus.
But
you know how I know? I was thinking this. You know how I know our nation, or at least our city, never recovered from COVID is because when I think about a hantavirus lockdown, I literally think I will be completely unaffected because since COVID, my social life is just like never bounced back. I only see you. We live in our apartment. We work from home. I'm like, how will hantavirus affect me? I don't think it will, which is like really, that to me is the ultimate indication that our country has gone to shit. Is like, you literally threaten me with another global virus lockdown and I literally go, that will change my life. Not at all.
Yeah. Unless we want to take 14 cruises.
Yeah.
Dude, what's going to happen to cruises? I feel like young people don't take cruises.
Dude, I feel like cruises are done.
But I keep saying I feel like cruises are done, but then for some reason, like whenever I'll see TikToks of like a new cruise ship, it's bigger than the one before.
Well, this is big on conspiracy TikTok, but they think everyone on cruises is fake and all the TikToks on cruises are paid actors.
But the ships are real.
Yeah, but people think that it's like crisis actors.
Well, what's the crisis?
The crisis is that no one's taking cruises, and so they have to artificially act like people are on cruises.
I mean, I don't know. This was a whole movement. This was a movement of people who realized that it was actually cheaper, or at least as cheap, to live on a cruise ship than it was to pay rent.
Right.
And that is a thing that people have been doing. But here's also the thing. It's like, you don't actually want to live on a cruise ship.
No.
It's like being like, did you know that apartment hack, you don't need an apartment. You can just sleep at the mall.
Right.
It's like, I don't want to sleep at the mall.
I don't really want to sleep at the mall.
I don't actually want to do that.
Yeah.
Also, my thing with that is like, you'd have to switch rooms. That's kind of inconvenient. Well,
yeah.
You don't care.
I mean, no, I probably would care if I had to switch rooms. It's hard for me to put myself in that
scenario
situation
where you're living on a cruise.
I'm living on cruise because also famously I get really seasick.
Yeah.
So.
But have you been on cruises before?
I went on one cruise. It was a Royal Caribbean cruise. I was in 10th grade. I was very overweight, and I think I just did not have that good of a time. I spent most of my time, I think, like in the gym.
Well, I went on 2 cruises and it was great because here's the thing about the cruise. Cruises allowed me as a child to get around my parents' obsession with making me do chores because there are no chores to do on the cruise. So here's what I would do. Everyone would also go do their own activities. They would assume I'm running around. Robert's running around. What I would do is when we all left our room in the morning or like I left breakfast in the morning, I would run, get soft serve ice cream, a lot of times multiple bowls, and then I would go right back to our room and I would watch cartoons on TV because it was the only time I was allowed to watch TV.
That sounds fabulous.
It was fantastic. And then at the end of the day, my parents would be like, wow, Robert, like I bet you were doing crazy fun stuff all day. And I'd be like, yeah, I was doing nut stuff. I was eating soft serve ice cream and watching Cartoon Network.
I do remember that you could order cookies on TV. Like the TV had the room service.
Yeah.
And I would just order cookies to my room and then I'd go on the treadmill. I don't really remember the cruise in its entirety.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm like trying to remember if I was like on weird medications at the time.
Probably, because if you're just like pounding cookies and working out, like the urge to even do that would seem to me.
I think I was like in a really unwell state. I also have the memory that like I was really excited because I thought I'd be able to like meet other like teenagers on the cruise ship because like this is my thing. No one in my high school liked me, but I thought it was just because like, oh, it's because they go to high school with me that they don't like me. But then I went to the teen club the first night, the meetup, and I realized that it was not just kids at my school who didn't like me. It was like just everyone didn't.
Well, I always thought that, again, the reason why the kids at my high school, like why I wasn't more popular is just because they knew me too long. It was too much baggage. And then I literally had a girl like towards the end of senior year. She was like, Robert, I feel like they're going to really like you at college. And I'm like, what a nice thing to say. Went to college, not popular.
That's
never
not true.
transcended. No, it is true. Freshman year.
I think most people struggle freshman year.
You know what? We just say that to each other. There were people crushing it my freshman year. I know it. They were crushing it. Well, here's what's funny.
It took me a couple months, but like freshman year, it's like it took me a couple months, but I did get there. But only because of the help of some really extroverted people on my floor.
My freshman year was a real struggle at college. But you know what's interesting about college? When you first go to college for those first couple weeks, I feel like everyone goes to parties. Everybody goes to parties.
Yes.
But then a really interesting thing happens.
Yeah, you stop getting invited.
Some people keep getting invited to parties, and others have to return to the dorm.
That's so
like,
real.
For the first couple weeks of college, you're like, everyone's going out. I remember going to parties. I'm like, this is going to be all of college. This is the best. But then 2 weeks later, like everyone else like joins sororities or joins frats, or they make lasting friendships, or they make like off-campus friends. And then everyone who doesn't do those things, you just return to your dorm.
It's like your free trial expires.
it's like your free party trial expired.
It is like college has a 2-week free trial party.
Yeah.
And like everyone, I think that's so universal, where it's like, for the first 2 weeks, everyone gets to go to the parties. And then after that, it's like you have to earn the party.
I literally would rather never have been to a party, but instead for the first couple weeks of college, everyone goes to the parties. I'm included. I'm like, this rocks. And then 2 weeks went by. And then suddenly I'm like, wait a minute. Everyone else is at a party.
Yeah.
And then also you look around, the other people aren't getting invited to parties. I'm like, these are duds.
Yeah, well, but it's like, these are my peers.
And I'm a dud.
These are my equals. Yeah. No, it's
and
real
I'm
as fuck.
dud.
And then I was thinking about this too, because I'm like, then it makes you adopt the kind of personality where you have to pretend like you don't even like partying. And I remember like being in my dorm room, like on a Friday night, like drinking tea and like reading a book and being like, I guess this is who I have to be. Like, you know what I mean? And it's like, to have to adopt a weird nerd personality because no one invited you to a party.
Well, that's the thing, dude. It sucks because like
Also,
I've got to be. I'm not a nerd.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's what I'm saying, though.
There are some people who don't go to parties because they're like, well, I'm just kind of more intelligent and I'm more reserved,
right?
And I would prefer to kind of just like be on my own and like read books, maybe have like normal conversations with people. And like, there's that crew, and then the other crew doesn't get invited to parties are the fucking losers.
Yeah.
And of course, like I don't want to be with the losers, so I have to pretend I'm with these people, but really I'm neither.
Yeah.
I'm a cool person who the other cool people don't fuck with at all.
That's so real. I relate to this so uniquely. Yeah, but it's like, again, we've adopted the personality of like kind of outcast nerds, not because we are outcast nerds, but because cool people refuse to just admit that we're one of them.
Dude, every single one of our stories is like, we have no friends, no one likes us, but actually we're super cool and they should.
They should.
They should.
Well, and again, I do think I'm like, we both have like a level of like righteous indignation socially, because I'm like, but that's also what I would always drive me crazy is like popular people, when I hang out with them one-on-one, I'm like, I can tell you're having a good time. I know you're having a good time.
Well, in my high school, famously, I was voted by my peers to give a speech at graduation. And I did. It was a great speech, if I say so myself. But it's like, they only liked me from like afar. Do you know what I mean? Like there was an inherent distance. It's like they liked me as a character.
Well, they want to consume you, but they don't want to engage with you.
Yes.
But that's why we're internet content creators.
Yeah.
Because people ultimately would rather consume us than engage with us.
Yeah. Well, dude, you know what's funny? Because like obviously everyone, every real person in my life has no respect for anything I do on the internet, and they think I'm like a weird fake loser, and they think it's pathetic, you know, as is their right.
Yeah.
But then it's like, okay, but then I'll sometimes make jokes on the internet about like, haha, so you know I'm like a weird loser, right? Like being self-deprecating, and people on the internet will be like, what do you mean? You're a big TikToker. And I'm like, it's like very supportive, but on the flip side, it's like, it almost seems like I can't win, because it's like I am, in real world terms, on like the lower level of society, you know, I'm not respected. But also, if I try to communicate that experience and almost to the internet, it almost seems like I'm somehow either unaware or ungrateful.
Yeah, and I think like that is what I really appreciate is sometimes I'll make TikToks about like being unpopular and feeling like socially ostracized, etc., which I am in my life for the most part.
Of course.
And I love, some people will comment like, oh, but you're like big on the internet. And then I had one person reply to one of those people, and they were like, the reason why she's big on the internet is probably due to feeling isolated in her real life. People rarely become big on the internet who have like really thriving social lives.
And that was me who left that comment, because I want to set people straight.
But Just so you guys know, people rarely become big on the internet who have thriving social lives. So if you don't have a thriving social life, you probably should be making internet content. I did see a TikTok about that once that really did inspire me to make more content, where she was like, girl, if you don't have friends, why aren't you making videos? And I was like, that's real as fuck. If you don't have friends, why aren't you making videos?
Do you think they're listening to this on the front?
On the front lines of the war?
Yeah, because we're at war. Do you think our podcast is like, there's like a soldier who's just in their ear?
Yeah.
They're just like, they're on patrol, and in their ear, it's just like, so actually being on the internet is a male. The internet, and like, no, disrespect me.
Boom. Maybe.
I just want to point this out to people. It's like, we really appreciate the podcast growth, but I can't help but notice we're not super successful, rich, and famous yet as a podcast. So, not to place the blame on the listener, but get on it.
Yeah. Tell your friends if you have them.
Tell your enemies.
Tell your enemies.
Tell your enemies. But do reverse psychology on your enemies.
Yeah.
Be like, I hate the Midnight Milkshake podcast.
Okay. So what I hope, if our fan base is anything like us, you might be what I call myself this sometimes, an anti-influencer.
Of course.
Which is that people will want to do the opposite of whatever you're doing because they see that you are ostracized and not included or accepted by society. And so whatever you do, they'll do the opposite. So yeah, if you're anything like me, just go around talking about how you hate the Midnight Milkshake podcast. And inevitably, I think that would make everyone around you want to listen to the Midnight Milkshake podcast.
Yeah, because if you're like us and everyone hates you,
Yeah.
then they'll want to like the things you hate.
Yeah.
So if you hate us, they'll like us.
Yeah.
So that should do it.
Ooh, yeah. And if that doesn't make your enemies want to listen to the Midnight Milkshake podcast, what would?
What would?